Hello students, a very good evening to all and welcome back to daily newspaper analysis of 5th of May. So for today, we have 5 important articles. So 2 articles we shall be discussing from The Hindu, 2 from PIB as well as 1 article from Down to Earth. So here first very important article is related to Great Nicobar project. So here we shall be discussing the ongoing controversy related to this project as well as we shall be looking the location on map. Next article is related to power of mangroves. So here we shall be discussing the significance of mangroves for coastline of India as well as all over the world. Next important theme is the critical minerals global supply chain observatory. So recently this observatory was established under the agreement between India as well as UK. Next, a small article related to NEVA, that is National E-Vidhan application. And finally, we shall be discussing coral bleaching, what are the instances of or what are the reasons of coral bleaching, as well as the mapping, where the corals are found in the world. And finally, a practice question. Okay, so here, this first article. Yes, so this first article is related to Nicobar project, Great Nicobar project. So here various kind of infrastructure had to be built, for example, greenfield airport and a transshipment port, etc., etc. So first of all, let's discuss the recent controversy. So see, the controversy was, yes, see, actually what happened in 2024, what we can say, a appraisal body of under the finance ministry. So what happened, a appraisal body under the finance ministry, and name of that appraisal body is the Public Investment Board. So this appraisal body has reviewed this entire Great Nicobar project. And what was the observation of that body? Observation was that this project, especially the transshipment port which is proposed by the government in the Great Nicobar. So especially this particular transshipment project is lacking the strategic objectives. So here, what was the advice which was given by this? Yes. So what was the advice which was given by this Public Investment Board? The advice was that Ministry of Shipping must include a strategic case in the proposal. Strategic case. So basically, this PIB, this body is saying that since we are not seeing a very good, a very significant advantage or significance of this particular transshipment port, or for that matter, Great Nicobar project, so we cannot say that this project is strategic for India, because if anything is strategic, that will be very important for national security, for economic security, etc. So in 2024, this PIB body has said that at present we are not seeing anything strategic in the project. So if you want the approval for this project, you must include some strategic thing. But now what happened recently in March 2026, Ministry of Defense has notified this project as the strategic. So are you seeing the difference? Earlier in 2024, this body suggested that you must include something important. Then only we can say that this is a strategic project. But without any addition, ministry has done nothing. Without any addition, Ministry of Defense has now said that this project is now strategic. So from here only the entire controversy started. Why? Because here you are using the tag of strategic, that is, it is of national as well as economic importance, but you are not showing the proof that on what basis you are able to see that. And second thing is that various reports have mentioned that there will be huge amount of environmental impact as well as social impact, because deforestation will be there, because if you want to set up all these kind of infrastructures. So government is also not putting this report of high powered committee in the public domain. Also, the RTI requests are also not put in the public domain. So what we can say, the RTI disclosures are also being withheld. So that's why complete controversy is here, because transparency is missing, and citizens and other bodies are saying that you are not showing us any proof that why this project is important and why we are spending a lot of money and we are doing a lot of deforestation. Now, quickly, I think we already discussed about this Great Nicobar project, but let's discuss once again. So if we talk about Great Nicobar project, so this project mainly will include 5 kind of infrastructures. So first of all, it will include international container transshipment port at the Galathia Bay. So basically, what is transshipment port? This is not a major port. Transshipment port means if this is a port, so here if ship A is carrying goods to this port, so from this port, goods will be again loaded in ship B. So this is the meaning of transshipment port. So basically, the main objection is for the construction of this transshipment port only. Next, has been proposed to build a greenfield airport. That means from zero, you will be constructing the airport. Next, the township or the urban development. After that, gas-based power plant infrastructure will also be built, and finally a tourism zone. So all these things have been proposed under the Great Nicobar project. So here I think transshipment port we already discussed that this is a transshipment port. So goods will come from ship A, and from this port it will be loaded in ship B and finally to the destination. So since we are discussing more about this transshipment port in Galathia Bay, so let's look for the location of Galathia Bay. So here, this is Andaman. Yes, just a second. Yes, is it visible? Yes. So here is the Galathia Bay. So Galathia Bay is at the southernmost tip of Great Nicobar Islands. So here we have Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So here in Galathia Bay is located at the Great Nicobar Island, and at the southernmost end we have the Indira Point. Now, next thing, if we talk about the significance of this Great Nicobar project, because government is saying again and again that this is strategical, this is strategical. So we must provide some points to prove that strategic thing. The first thing is that it is located near Malacca Strait. So if we see the location of Malacca Strait, so this is the Malacca Strait here. Somewhere here, this is the Malacca Strait. So since this is very near to Malacca Strait, and Malacca Strait is very important, no, we can say the sea lane of communication or important maritime route. So that's why its location is very important. So since this is located in Indian Ocean region, so because of the presence or because of the infrastructure here, India can increase or enhance its presence in the Indian Ocean region, because already you know that China is trying to build string of pearls around India. So this will be a very good point or very good initiative from India to increase or maintain its presence in Indian Ocean region. Now, with this, we can also monitor the important sea lanes of communication. So this I have already discussed. Sea lanes of communication means important maritime routes. So they are important from trade point of view, from logistics point of view, etc., etc. Now, next thing, it strengthens the maritime security and defense capabilities, because if we are very near to any critical choke point, or for example, Strait of Malacca, so here we can do proper surveillance or we can do proper monitoring. So it will show that yes, it is strengthening the maritime security as well as defense capabilities. Now, next thing, it will boost trade, logistics as well as economic development. Yes. Now, quickly, let's discuss about the environmental concerns, because various NGOs and various citizens are uh, pointing out this only, that because of the environmental concerns, this project must not be given any approval. The first thing is large scale forest clearance as well as habitat loss, because just now we discussed the 5 kind of infrastructures are proposed under this project. So if you are building all these kind of infrastructures, this amount, these amount of big infrastructures, then this thing will not be good for the environment, because it will involve large scale deforestation. And if you are cutting very old trees, very old forest, then with this you will lose habitat for important species also, important endemic species also. Next thing is it will impact the coral ecosystems as well as coral reefs. Why? Because if you are cutting large amount of forest, so over a period of time, heat stress will increase. If heat stress is increasing, then it will impact corals. How? It will lead to coral bleaching. Next, it will be threat to endemic species as well as biodiversity. I already discussed that if you are cutting huge amount of forest, then those forests are habitat of all these endemic species. So it will be threat to these species only. Next thing is cumulative environmental impact assessment was not made public. So here, from there only controversy started, right? That earlier you were saying that there is no strategic thing in the project, and now you have given the strategic track, and you have not put forth the environmental assessment or the environmental report in the public domain also. So these are the main issues. And transparency concern, I already discussed that RTI request denied citing strategic grounds. So government is saying that because of these strategic reasons, we cannot put all these RTI requests in the public domain. So here I have summarized everything. I will upload the PDF on our Telegram channel. So from there, you can read all these things. Now, next important article is related to mangroves. So here basically the article discusses the power of mangroves over sea walls. Basically it is discussing the role which is played by the mangroves, the significance of mangroves in absorbing the energy of cyclones or absorbing the energy of any kind of disaster. Okay. So let's start our discussion. So basically the main article is based on the ecosystem based adaptation. Ecosystem based adaptation means how you are using ecosystem services, how you are using local biodiversity as a shield against climate change. So here the context is given of cyclone Dana. So here this cyclone Dana made a landfall on Odisha's coast on Bhitarkanika. So article is saying that the mangroves, the natural mangroves which are present in India, these mangroves are a very good example of ecosystem based adaptation, because mangroves are the natural ecosystem and mangroves are used to absorb the energy of sea waves so that the impact of cyclone can be reduced. So this can be used as a very good case study that during the cyclone Dana, the mangroves at the coast of Bhitarkanika, mangroves were used as a natural protection to deal with this cyclone. Now, since we are discussing about the coastal regions of India, so before discussing the significance of mangroves in detail, let's quickly discuss the climatic risk which India's coast are facing. Actually, this itself can be a very good question for the main, that what are the climatic risks which are faced by the very coast in India, as well as suggest the way forward. So for that, first of all, the first climatic risk is the sea level rise. So since the temperature is increasing because of that, sea level rise is happening, and because of sea level rise, this coastal inundation is happening. That means if the sea will rise, coastal water or sea water will enter in the coastal regions. Second thing is storm surges. So storm surges basically can lead to flooding. So in the similar manner, water can enter the coastal areas. Next, we have the cyclones. So because of cyclones also in the coastal, because whenever cyclones travel, so if we talk about the tropical cyclones, so they need the continuous supply of moisture. So these cyclones can survive in oceans or in rivers. So whenever they come to the land, they can be destroyed. But before being destroyed, they will damage the infrastructure as well as life and property. Next risk is the saline intrusion. So here, as we have discussed, that seawater will enter the coast. So seawater is salty, right? Seawater is saline. So the saline water will mix with the fresh water. So it will create the drinking water crisis as well as agricultural losses. And finally, because of this strong energy in the sea waves are leading to coastal erosion. So if they are eroding the coast, then the capacity of the coast to deal or absorb the energy of the waves will reduce, and hence these waves will directly enter the coastal regions. So these are some of the climatic risks in India. Now quickly let's discuss about what all natural shield or what all protective shields are present in India's coastline. So basically, if we talk about the eastern coast of India, so here in coast of Orissa, we have Bhitarkanika mangroves. In West Bengal, we have Sundarban mangroves. Andhra Pradesh also we have mangroves. And in Tamil Nadu, we have coral reefs as well as sea grass meadows as the natural protection. So here coral reefs are also used to absorb the energy of cyclone or any storm surge. And similarly, same thing is about the seagrass meadows. So what is seagrass meadows? Basically, seagrass meadows are the underwater forest, underwater grass ecosystem, you can say. So these seagrass meadows also absorb the energy of cyclone. So these were the natural protective shield which are present at the east coast of India. Now, if we talk about the west coast of India, so we have mangroves in Gujarat, Maharashtra, in Goa. If we talk about, so here we have some coastal wetlands. So these wetlands also act as natural protective shield against the disasters. And finally, if we talk about Kerala, so here also we have some backwaters as well as wetlands. So these were some of the natural protective shields. And yes, if we talk about the islands of India, so in Andaman Nicobar as well as Lakshadweep Islands, we have coral reefs as the natural protective shield. So these were the natural protective shields of India's coastline. So yes, since we were discussing about environment-based adaptation, so I think this question can easily be asked in this year mains also. Even if it is not asked, you can give it as a solution or as a case study. So whenever you write solution for the climate change or disaster management, so you can give environment-based adaptation as a solution. So first of all, what is the definition? So environment adaptation, it uses biodiversity and ecosystem services to help people to adapt the climate change. So here, see, if our ecosystem is very healthy, for example, our coral reefs are very healthy, or our wetlands or mangroves are very healthy, then all these ecosystems can protect us against the impacts of climate change, and hence loss of life and property can be reduced. So here, in your exam, you can simply make a kind of flow chart or a spider diagram also. So here you can write environment based adaptation, and here you can give the types or the examples of environment based adaptation. So what are those examples? First is mangroves itself, just now we discussed. So it helps to reduce the energy, or it absorbs the energy of cyclone. Coral reefs also reduce the energy of the waves. If we talk about the seagrass meadows, so they help in the coastal stabilization. If we talk about the wetlands, so basically wetlands acts as a buffer. So it's not like they will absorb the complete energy of the waves, but they will act as a kind of buffer, so that you will have some amount of time for the preparation. And finally, if we talk about the coastal forest, so here it will help to reduce wind and erosion control. So yes, if we compare the grey infrastructure as well as environment based adaptation, so see why we are discussing about grey infrastructure, because the main heading of this article was the power of mangroves over sea walls. So basically sea walls are the grey infrastructure. What is grey infrastructure? So basically grey infrastructure are the engineered infrastructure which are built by the people, so which are artificially built, and they use materials like cement, concrete, etc. So here we are discussing the power of mangroves over artificial infrastructure. So because of that, quickly let's compare the grey infrastructure as well as environment-based adaptation. So grey infrastructure example, the sea walls, and ecosystem-based adaptation, for example, mangroves. Now here, yes, okay, so these, oh no, just a second. So here these are just the examples, because examples of ecosystem based adaptation we already discussed. So for example, sea walls, embankments, tetrapods, all these are the examples of grey infrastructure. Now here, for the environment based adaptation, this case study you can use in your GS paper 3, as it is this case study you can use, so you can take a screenshot. So if we talk about the case study of success in Sundarbans, so here the entire community was involved in the restoration of mangroves. Why? Because the entire community was aware of the significance of mangroves. Because what happened, it helped reduce the devastation of cyclones Amphan as well as cyclone Yas, because their mangroves were very healthy. Apart from that, the mangroves in the Sundarbans provide a very good environment for the crab farming, honey collection, etc. etc. So here we have environmental benefits also, here we have socio-economic benefits also. Now here the article discusses that even after having so much benefit, why the advantage of environment based adaptation remains unutilized. So what is the reason? Reason is that there is here we do not have, in overall India, we do not have a single or integrated framework to manage the mangroves at the India's coastline. And since we do not have any integrated framework, because of that the monitoring or surveillance becomes very weak. Since we are not able to monitor, so we are not able to take the concrete steps to save the mangroves in India. And apart from that, India is having funding constraints also, because you cannot put the complete responsibility to protect mangroves or to save mangroves on state government only. So all these things, all these conservation strategies requires the funding also. Finally, the ambiguity in terminology as well as classification. It means you must properly classify the types of forest. Like you are saying, this is a evergreen forest or this is dry forest. So similarly, you must have a proper category for mangroves forest also, because if you are having a proper category, then you can take the concrete steps to save that ecosystem. Yes. So here the MISTI program of Government of India is very important here. So MISTI program means Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitats as well as Tangible Outcomes. So here under MISTI program, the government is aiming to restore the mangroves in India. So here MISTI program aims to restore 540 kilometers square of mangroves across 9 states. So here, what will be the benefits? I think benefits we already discussed, that it will support the livelihood. That means it will be having the socio-economic benefits. It will try to build the coastal resilience, etc., etc. Okay, so here in this image, everything is summarized. So please go through this image once. Now, next important article is related to India UK Critical Minerals Global Supply Chain Observatory. So basically here we shall be discussing about a platform which will monitor entire global supply chain, which will detect whether we will be having any kind of scarcity in the future, and it will take important actions. Yes, just a second. Yes, so first important thing for the exam is you must know the location, that at what location this global supply chain observatory has been launched. So this observatory has been launched in New Delhi. Next thing is, since this is related to critical minerals observatory, so first of all, let's discuss about critical minerals. So I think we discussed about the critical minerals many times. So critical minerals means any mineral which is very important for any country, which is no strategically important, which is economically important for the country. So it is high in demand, but it is less in supply. So anytime, what we can say, any time scarcity can happen. So that's why these type of minerals are called critical minerals. So if we talk some kind of examples, so for example, lithium is a critical mineral. Why? Because it is used in EV batteries. Graphite is a critical mineral. Why? Because it is used in lithium ion batteries. So these are some of the examples. Now, if we talk about this observatory, so basically, if a UPSC asks in prelims that global supply chain observatory was recently in news, it is no what it is. It's a description. So basically, global supply chain observatory is a data-driven platform. So basically, it will be collecting all kind of data related to this rare earth minerals or critical minerals. After collecting data, it will monitor the complete data, as well as it will analyze. So it will be based on models, everything will be analyzed, and if there is any scarcity, so adequate steps will be taken. So let's discuss how this will work. So yes. So here, if we talk about global mineral supply chain, so what this platform will do, it will collect data, as well as it will collect data, it will integrate data, and then it will be analyzing the complete data. And even after, if after analysis we find that some kind of disruption is happening, then market intelligence and policy support will be provided, so that the companies in India or companies in UK, they will be prepared for any future risk or for any future scarcity. Quickly, let's discuss about the institutions also which are involved. What institutions are involved? So from India, ISM Dhanbad is involved, and from UK, University of Cambridge is involved. Now quickly let's discuss about the major global sources of critical minerals. So I think earlier we already discussed that 90% processing of rare earth minerals or critical minerals or availability is in China. So basically the major reserve of rare earth minerals is in China. But here main point is, though no significant number of rare earth minerals or critical minerals are available in China, but other countries are also very good reserve of two or three important minerals. For example, if we talk about China, so China is major hub of only rare earth elements. But if we talk about Canada, so here mainly we can find nickel or cobalt. In USA we can find lithium as well as rare earth. In Chile we can find lithium. So basically why we are discussing this, conclusion is every country will not have to depend entirely on the China, and countries can diversify their resources. So instead of depending completely on China, we can have some agreement with Canada, we can have some agreement with USA or Democratic Republic of Congo. So here this observatory will help India and UK to diversify their sources and build a resilient supply chain. So here this image has summarized everything. Yes. Now, a small article related to NEVA, that is National E-Vidhan Application. So, what is the news? Recently, West Bengal Legislative Assembly has signed an MOU. So, here this Legislative Assembly will also be implementing the provisions of National E-Vidhan Application. So, let's discuss what is NEVA or National E-Vidhan Application. Basically, NEVA is an online platform, and what is the purpose of that platform? Its purpose is to digitize the legislative processes of all the state and union territory assemblies. So let's consider, for example, this is a traditional manner, and for example, this is a digital manner. So what will happen in traditional manner? For example, a bill has to be introduced in the parliament or legislative assembly. So before introduction, in the traditional manner, physical copy of physical papers will be circulated and will be given to all the MLAs, so that they will read the complete provisions of the bill and then they will decide that whether we have to support the bill or not. But if we talk about this NEVA or National E-Vidhan application, so here the copy of bill will be uploaded on the computer or on the tab which is present in front of the seat of all the MLAs. So this is the difference between this. So it will save a lot of time also, and it will improve the analysis of the bills also. Okay, so this was the major objective. So if we talk about more about National E-Vidhan application, so this is one of the important mission under Digital India program. So Digital India program has 44 mission mode projects. So National E-Vidhan application is one of the important projects under Digital India program. So if we talk about the aim, so it aims to make the functioning of all state legislatures paperless. So here just now we discussed about the example of this resolution or how bill is moved in the parliament. So in this way, or how bill is introduced in the parliament or legislative assembly. So in this way, it will support the vision of one nation, one application. Now, last article is related to coral bleaching. So here, recently, various researchers have stated that the fourth mass coral bleaching event have ended in 2025. So here, before this, three mass coral bleaching events have already taken place, and according to researchers, the fourth mass coral bleaching event have already ended by the end of 2025. So for that, quickly let's discuss the concept of coral bleaching. So see, first of all, let's discuss in this way. If we talk about the corals, so basically corals are the small zooplanktons, small sea animals. So the point about corals is that corals want to live in the clear as well as nutrient poor water. So these are the two characteristics of the environment in which coral live. So corals live in clear as well as nutrient poor waters. Now, since they live in nutrient poor water, so what these corals will do, these corals will try to attract small algae, and those algae are known as zooxanthellae. So here, no, there is a symbiotic relationship between corals as well as zooxanthellae algae. How? Corals will provide a secure environment for the zooxanthellae to live in. So for example, this is a coral structure. So here zooxanthellae will get a secure place to live. And zooxanthellae can undergo the process of photosynthesis. So because of that, zooxanthellae will provide food to the corals. So this is a symbiotic relationship because this is a win-win situation for both of them. So corals will provide a secure structure for the zooxanthellae to live in, and all these algae will provide food to the corals because corals live in nutrient poor water. Now, if we talk about the coral bleaching, so for example, because of the climate change, temperature have increased a lot. So because of this increase in temperature, these corals will, is it visible? Yes. Yes. So because of the increase in temperature, these algae or these zooxanthellae will be expelled from the corals. So see, earlier, for example, these were the corals and these were the zooxanthellae. So because of the presence of zooxanthellae, these corals were appearing colorful. Now, because of the climate stress or because of the temperature stress, these algae have been expelled from the coral. So since these algae have been expelled from the coral, so coral will become pale or they will become white. So this process or this condition only is known as coral bleaching. Now, since there are no algae and corals live in nutrient poor water, so corals will not get any food. As a result, coral will lose the energy and finally the coral will die. So this is the complete story, or this is the complete process of coral bleaching. Now, since we are discussing that recently researchers have said this, that the fourth mass coral bleaching have ended in 2025. So quickly, let's discuss about all the coral bleaching timeline. So in 1998, first coral bleaching event happened. Finally, in 2010, second coral bleaching event ended. In From 2014 to 2017, a third coral bleaching event it spanned in this time, and from 2024-25, fourth global coral bleaching ended. So it was the fastest as well as widest on the record. So this thing proves that climate change, the impact of climate change is increasing year by year, decade by decade. Yes. So if we discuss the importance of corals, so see, these corals are very beautiful. These corals have no zooxanthellae in them. So because of all these things, they attract a lot of fishes. So if you see any kind of coral structure, no, you will see a lot of fish near that structure. So that's why it is important for the fisheries. And since they look very beautiful, so they are a very good source of tourism also. So it can generate income for the locals. Finally, since we have discussed that in this coral structure zooxanthellae lives because of their no beauty, or other marine animals, for example fish and other animals are attracted. So here they provide a very good habitat for the marine species. If we talk about the coastal protection, so we already discussed that these corals reduce the waves energy, or they absorb lot of wave energy. If we talk about carbon cycling, so see, if we talk about the coral structure, no, so what these corals will do, these corals will absorb the carbon dioxide from the seawater, and this carbon will react with the calcium which is present in the coral structure, and it will form the calcium carbonate. So if calcium carbonate concentration is increasing, that means the structure is building a lot, because this coral structure is built by the calcium carbonate only. So it helps in the formation of entire structure for the coral. So that's why it helps in the carbon cycling only. Yes, if we talk about the presence of corals all over the world, so here main corals are present in this region, in this Pacific region. This is the main area for the corals. And here, if we talk about North America and South America, so at the western coast, lot of corals are present. And if we talk about Indian Ocean, so these are the main regions of coral. So here, according to a report, 83 countries as well as territories are impacted across all three ocean basins because of increasing temperature, and coral bleaching happened here. Yes. Actually, the Global Tipping Points report have identified that widespread coral reef die-off as the world's first catastrophic climate tipping point. So basically, the report is saying that this mass coral bleaching is an important climate tipping point. What is climate tipping point? This climate tipping point is a kind of threshold in our climatic system, that if temperature is increased beyond that threshold, then the changes will become irreversible. So that's why this report is saying that we have already reached the climate tipping point. Now, if the bleaching happens after this, beyond this, then it will become very difficult to recover for the corals. So recovery of corals will become very difficult. Yes, so quickly let's discuss about the major coral reef regions in India. So important coral reefs are present in Gulf of Kutch, so here in this region, then Gulf of Mannar, so in this region, Park Bay in Tamil Nadu, so here, Lakshadweep atoll reefs, so here atolls are present, and finally fringing reefs in Andaman and Nicobar Island. So here this image has summarized everything. Now a practice question for you. So consider the following statements regarding coral bleaching. First is coral bleaching occurs when corals expel their symbiotic algae. Second is elevated sea surface temperatures can trigger bleaching. Next is El Nino events are often associated with global coral bleaching episodes. So please read the question once again and try to give answer for this question. Yes, so I think that's all from my side for today. Thank you and have a nice day.